right. Welcome, everyone. This is our Indigent Defense Commission meeting scheduled for today. It's June 16th, 2022, and the time is 2:10 in the afternoon. We've just been waiting a bit for commissioners who don't have a conflict today to be able to join in and reach our quorum numbers, and we're pretty close. The public can attend the meeting in person at the Indigent Defense Office or via Zoom. And we do have a brief agenda for today. Thanks to all the commissioners who are here. Let's go around and introduce actually everyone. And I'll just see if I can pull up participants in the order that it shows for us. Katrina, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
I'm Katrina Adair, and I'm the financial analyst for IDC.
Thank you. Jenny.
I'm Jenny Bird, and I am the training coordinator for the IDC.
Thank you. Adam.
Adam Troop. I'm the assistant director for the IDC.
Great. Ken.
I'm Ken Matthews, the deputy director at CCJJ, sitting in for Tom Ross.
Very good. Thanks for being proxy today. Margaret.
Margaret Lindsay, Utah County Public Defender Association.
Thank you. Matt.
Matthew Barraza, Executive Director of the Indigent Defense Commission.
Very good. Wally.
Wally Bugden. I'm a private attorney and a proud alumnus of the Salt Lake Legal Defender Office.
Oh, very cool. Deborah.
I'm Deborah Nelson. I'm the Chief Appellate Attorney for the Indigent Appellate Defense Division.
Great. Okay, Leslie.
Data analyst for the IDC.
Very good. She is a numbers person. Okay, let's see. Pam.
Pam Vickery, Utah Juvenile Defender Attorneys.
Thank you, Pam. And Rich.
I'm Rich Morrow. I'm the executive director of the Salt Lake Legal Defender Association and a commissioner.
Very good. I think that's everyone. It kind of skips around on me a little bit. Anyone else that I missed?
Yeah, Mary Corporon, an attorney in private practice and a commissioner.
Very good. Thank you, Mary. Yes, it moved you up and then I missed you. Okay, well, let's go through this agenda. We have a presentation first by Adam Troop, which is the grant application review and award votes for the Interdisciplinary Parental Representation Pilot Program. Go ahead, Adam.
Thanks, Commissioner. First, I'll ask whether everyone's had a chance to see the email that went out just about an hour ago that had my summary document and recommendations in it. I know most of you did, but what I did was outline, if you haven't, what I did was outline the requirement of the definition, the statute of what we're trying to do, and then summary of the applications, and then my recommendations. So I'll work through that. And if you haven't had a chance to see it, I apologize for the delay. And it just, I can answer any questions or walk through as much as you want to, as much as you need. But let me start with this. If you want to pull it up, if you haven't read it, I can go through quickly. I just wanted to give you the definition of the program. There's more text to the bill than this. But the point really is that we have a very broad definition of what it is intended to do, enhance legal representation of a parent. There's a lot that goes into that, obviously, but that was the language of the explanation definition of the program. Later in the statute, it does have information and directive on what we have to collect in terms of, what we need to demonstrate. And that means we'll have to identify more completely as we build this program, what we want the program, what we want the systems to collect as they go through the work and as the workers do their time accounting and their reporting. I didn't put that in here right now because we're still putting together the documents, but the priority first is obviously to get our grant awards out and get our expectations out to the systems that you choose to award funding to. So if you have questions about that detail, I'll be glad to answer them. If you want to refer to the statute later, that's a pretty short bill, but it gives the entire summary of what we're required to do and show. So if there's no questions, I'll move on. The section I have identified as requirements for an effective implementation are based on assumptions that I've made, but they are those issues we've talked about for the last couple of years really now, in terms of how do we build an organizational structure that helps to improve the system. And whatever way it is structured, we do want to have solid administrative processes, active and effective managing public defender. And those same requirements are part of this pilot project. So the assumptions are, as you can see, we need an administrative structure and an adequate caseload to implement the program, and then to be able to show that the workers are involved in cases and are having some impact over time. We need to make sure that the managing public defender is in a position and has a structure that's strong enough and is able to handle the additional workload that will be required to supervise what the social workers are doing as part of the interdisciplinary legal teams. In all of the systems, we've talked to all the applications aside from Weber County. The idea and the request would be for funding for contract positions as opposed to employees. Weber wants to use an employee structure for the two they've asked for. So oversight of those contracted social workers and their work for contracted defense counsel is not a simple direct supervision role. And so we want to make certain there's something in place that assures they'll be able to do that. Part of that is tracking timekeeping and reporting according to what the requirements are, the IDC reporting on the workers' activities, hourly reports, we think, and then also collecting the data and reporting back to the IDC consistent with the requirements we build as part of the pilot program. The last one is something that's come up as an issue in rural counties, obviously, and frankly, it's an issue everywhere in the state, and that is, are they going to be able to find workers to do this? If it's a contract position instead of a full-time employment position, it creates some additional burdens in terms of finding people. So using those assumptions, I took a look at, and we talked through, Matt and I talked through the applications, and we can run through those quickly if you'd like to. But any questions on those assumptions? Did I miss anything? Get something you think we don't need? Okay. So the text on these is pretty quick. I can run through them. Iron, Beaver, and Kane, they wanted one worker. They have a new managing defender who had held the child welfare contract and still is very much involved in it. She's working with Shane to transition. Weber has requested 2 full-time workers. They have started to create their county office, as you're all aware, and they have a managing defender for juvenile division, and she would have direct oversight over anyone who was an employee on the juvenile court side. Box Elder, if you remember seeing the application from them, they had a very detailed understanding of what the project would be or what the position would be. And they've got a managing defender who is relatively new and learning his role, but he does have child welfare background. And that's important. Uintah County made a request for part-time worker. You can see that they're not quite certain how they would use it and how they would make it work. Lance Dean said they'd have to find people who are willing to do this on a relatively part-time basis. Severe, good managing public defender. She could manage that caseload and make certain workers doing their work. But as she told me, DCFS has had positions open for employees for quite some time, and they can't find someone to hire that. What Severe was proposing was a pay rate for a little bit more than the social worker positions at DCFS. They haven't been able to fill those as employees. Toila, you can see the summary. She's honestly, she's got a lot on her plate. She's got heavy caseload as well as managing defender duties, and was not quite certain that she'd be able to find someone either. They're all good requests. People understand the concepts. That was obvious, but there were some challenges that everybody acknowledged in those systems that I just mentioned. So our recommendations are to do the funding for Iron, Beaver, and Kane, really for the reasons I just expressed. Weber is same situation. They have employees who are going to come in and do the child welfare work as county employee public defenders. So even though they may not handle all the cases with the social worker, there are internal people who are counsel that will be good, can make the good connection. Fox Elder, they would be my final suggestion, but there is additional money they need. This is only for a part-time position. I talked to Malone, who's managing defender there, and he said that they have a caseload. We know that they have an adequate caseload to handle, to have somebody on full-time. They would be better off if they could find someone full-time, but their request right now in their application was only for a part-time worker. And I think we believe that if we want to fund additional time or additional time in future, that would be okay. But as part of this application process, we think we're at least limited to what their request is. The Title IV money is around $55,000. If the commission wants to take an additional 10, there is no limitation or no restriction on that for the pilot program in terms of the statute or the appropriation. And we have money we've got to start spending in July. We have not spent it over the last year, which is fine. It reduces the IDC costs, but we do want to expand the parent representation side of what we're doing and move that forward. So we want to spend the money basically. So that's all. I think, Pam, you had a question in the chat, if I can pull it up.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I don't know. Oh, sorry.
I read it, but go ahead.
I just was wondering, with not knowing very well where the child welfare folks are, I mean, obviously I'm familiar with how we use our social worker, but is it like eventually for like a severe or something like that, is it one where they could participate remotely, or do they need to be there in person? I mean, obviously in person's ideal.
I think Margaret would be able to answer that well. I think it would be hard to be remote all the time, but Margaret, go ahead if you would.
Pam, I think we're in transition, and I don't know that right now, it would be at least feasible for a lot of the time to be remote, because as of now, still all of team meetings, all of court hearings, for minus, evidentiaries, are still virtual. Now, there are things that our social workers who, the two in my office also cover San Pete, Millard, Juab. There are things that they do need to do in those places, but a bulk of the work can be done from our office. But as come September, as things move back really more full-time into the courthouse, it will require more boots on the ground time in that district. And I know in Sevier, for example, they'll be getting a second judge. So in 6 districts, so that's also going to change the dynamics, not only for Sevier County, but it's also going to change the dynamics of San Pete County. And that's something we haven't even talked about yet. So, but the other thing that helps with having some experience from in that district is they know the players already. I mean, my social workers have done a great job just digging in and getting to know the caseworkers down there and the service providers and things. But there definitely would be a steeper learning curve coming from the outside. But, hopefully we'll have a choice.
I think we'll be able to develop it over time, but it's a employee shortage all over the state.
Yeah,
that's true. That's all I have to offer. So happy to answer any other questions if you have them.
That was a good question, Pam. Does anyone else have a question?
Yeah, Adam. Hey, it's Rich. Hey, the funding for this, we have appropriate funding for it? Is that right? I mean, is this separate and apart from what we were doing before with the funding of the grants, or you explained something that this may be a separate grant. What is the funding mechanism for this?
So it is the appropriation that came with the pilot project in the code. So yes, it is, and it will stay separate. It is not touching any of the other funding for the social workers, however, and if the commission wants to build that all together into one program in future, I think that's a policy decision and a shift. But that's why it goes this way. And obviously, two workers and a part-time worker helps us build a project a bit more in consistency. The 4E money you could allocate wherever you wanted to. It's simply additional federal reimbursement.
Okay, thank you.
Adam, I'm trying to remember. I think I understand. You've included everyone here who had a request in this category, and then you narrowed it down to those who could most likely get going in the right way, in time for this funding, right?
Correct.
So, and I was just counting how many counties there and trying to recall. I'm trying to remember, did Davis County not ask for anything? They're not on here. I didn't review them, obviously, because I am in the
Right. They did not ask for a child welfare social worker, no.
Okay. Caseworker, is that it that they asked for?
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
Did they maybe just ask for, in general, a caseworker? Can't remember that either.
I think they asked for a social worker, but as I recall, it was for the adult side,
Okay.
right? I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I would have.
The other commissioners, reviewed it more deeply, and I was just trying to remember.
I think the good thing with this official pilot program and the legislative funding is it's building on something that we've been working on in, 4th District, Sanpete County plus Salt Lake County for a few years now. And so that's some excellent experience and, resources to draw from as, these new social workers begin in these other counties and systems. So I'm truly excited about having more of a statewide reach, and hopefully it will just continue to grow because it's been invaluable.
That's a great comment, Margaret, and Matt, just one second, because the very first meeting when I was a brand new commissioner, I remember Margaret and Pam talking about this, the value that they've seen in this. That was my very first meeting, and that's been a little bit now, 2020. So it's nice to see that we're making some progress. Matt, what did you want to say?
Just along those lines, I wanted to chime in and say, for those who didn't have a chance to attend the judiciary interim meeting yesterday, there was a presentation by the director of DCFS, and the topic of the presentation was things that she thought could be done to improve the state of affairs with these child separation cases, these child welfare cases. And there were a few times that she mentioned IDC's social worker program in support of it, saying these social workers will increase the odds of families staying together. So it's something that's being seen and recognized even by someone from who's in charge of DCFS. So I think that speaks well to the work that we're doing here.
Thank you for that. Any other questions that anyone has?
Lorene, I was just going to say, I went back because I was one of the Davis County reviewers, and it doesn't actually specify it says a social worker. They requested a social worker, but it doesn't specify specifically only for child welfare. And then it references for clients being placed on probation, which is what made me think, because that would be like an adult or a juvenile type social worker versus like on the child welfare side. So that's what made me think that, but it doesn't specify specifically only for child welfare.
Yeah.
Just to build on what Pam just said, in their executive summary, it says specifically for district court cases, and that they already have a contract for parental rights social workers too. So.
Oh, great. Thank you. Great.
Thanks, Leslie. That's right. I remember talking to Todd about that. So it's good. That's another one who's working out there. So just so everyone knows too, Salt Lake County had one worker and now they're getting several more. I think they're getting 4 more, at least 4 or 5. Yeah, I think they're getting 4 more. Margaret still has the 2 working for her. We'd have 2 now and another half person. Davis has got 1. It's a solid number of people. It's a pretty big group. And I know from what Pam's doing with her social worker, what LDA has as far as workers doing that on the adult side, there's a really good group of people to be able to pull together and talk about just the principles of what you're doing, and a good group of people that can help us in our office develop the standards and the expectations for the pilot. We've already started to talk with the other social workers about that. We've had a couple of meetings with the attorneys who are supervising, and I put together practice standards and job description and other things, which I'll pull together and show all of you at the next meeting. And it's really pretty exciting. It's really great to see. Now we just have to, and Leslie continues to remind me, we have to be sure we know what we're going to track and data we're going to report so we can show that it works, even though we all know it's very helpful. We just need to show that it works. So
Great.
it's exciting.
That is exciting. Pam says that her team has the 3 because 2 are funded through the ARPA funds, which is great.
That's right.
Yeah, allowed in those guidelines. She loves the social workers. Yeah, I do enough human services work. I can imagine how helpful that is to that space. Yeah, for everyone.
Hey, I'm here. Sorry I'm late.
Yeah, thanks, Senator Weiler. This is actually great timing. Thank you. So we've just gone through the background, the statutory definition, purpose of SB 181, the interdisciplinary parental representation pilot program. It sounds like IDC's been making progress with this for several years. It's being recognized by others outside of IDC, which is wonderful. We have the recommendation for funding, which was also sent by email to all commissioners, with Iron, Beaver, and Cane in a system fund at 75,000, Weaver fund at 80,000, Box Elder fund at 25,000. Some of the previous public meetings kind of have some of the background of what different jurisdictions applied for. We kind of just reviewed a little bit of that. So I guess if there's not any additional question, Senator and Commissioner Weiler, do you have any question kind of on this topic that you'd like to hear the answer before we take a vote?
No questions from me.
Okay. All right. Very good. So you just need a vote, and we have a quorum now, right, everyone? All right. Good. Well, let's go ahead and do a roll call vote then. So this is to go ahead and fund those, they're all counties at those levels of funding. And I'll take a motion first.
Commissioner, this is Pam. I'll make a motion that we approve the full-time social worker. You guys are going to hear my dog snoring in the background. The full-time social worker for Iron, Beaver, Kane County to be shared between them, the full-time in Weber and the part-time in Box Elder.
Okay, at those funding levels that we've discussed, right?
Correct.
Very good. There's the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion. This is Wally Bugden.
Thank you, Wally. All right, let's do a roll call then. So let's see, Senator Weiler.
Aye.
And Wally.
Aye, Captain.
Thank you. Ken, on behalf of Commissioner Tom.
Aye.
Thank you. Mary.
Aye.
Thank you. Margaret.
Aye.
Okay, I am an aye. Commissioner Morrow.
Aye.
Very good. I think I got everyone. Did I get everyone?
This is Pam. Well, I've made the motion,
You made the motion.
but I vote yes.
Thank you, Pam. Yes, I should ask you to. Good. Okay, sounds like it's unanimous and we do have our quorum for this vote. Very
Great.
good. Yeah, thank you. Wonderful. That's some more good work and some great progress for this group.
Thank you. Thank you for your time too on this. Appreciate you all finding time so we can get this moving forward.
Yeah. Great. Okay, does anyone have any other business for this body? Okay, if not, then we have an item on the agenda for public comment, if anyone would like to speak that way. Okay, seeing none, our next commission meeting will be July 21st, 2022 at 2 p.m. Thanks to Jenny for keeping us organized with calendar invites, and keep watching for those, accepting those when you know you can make it, or saying no if you know you've got a conflict, and then she sends the materials if we need to review anything. We'll have minutes next time too for a couple of our meetings, right, Jenny? It's kind of what we expect. And with that, since Ryan's not here, I am particular to remembering that we need a motion to adjourn.
So
Motion to
moved.
adjourn.
Everyone gave that motion, but we'll say Mary was the one for the minutes. All right, thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.